to EmpowerFuse with your host, Dr. Carolyn M. Rubin. EmpowerFuse is a show of empowering messages with a focus on encouraging self-confidence, resilience, and a positive mindset. Certified life coach and 6-phase meditation trainer, Dr. Carolyn Rubin, will unleash inspiration together while igniting motivation and creativity. Dr. Rubin will discuss many topics such as healthcare, leadership, life, growth, and will add in some laughter too. So please welcome the host of EmpowerFuse, Dr. Carolyn Rubin.
Good morning, friends. I am so glad you're here with me today. Let me start with a question. When was the last time you laughed, really laughed, until your cheeks hurt, until your stomach hurt? Can you feel that moment in your memory? Chances are, whatever you were going through at that time, after the laughter, you felt a little lighter. That's the power of joy. It doesn't erase our challenges, but it changes how we carry them. And that's what I want to talk with you about today. Joy, not as something extra, but as a true strategy for life and leadership. Because the truth is, our world is heavy enough. What people need, what our teams need, what our families need, and what you need is not just strength, but lightness. And joy is how we bring that lightness to life. So today, we'll dive into the science of joy, the small everyday practices that anchor it, and how leaders like you and me can use joy to shift atmospheres, inspire resilience, and create impact. Friends, this conversation is going to be full of stories, reflection, and yes, a little laughter. Because joy is not just something we talk about. Joy is something we practice. And it starts right here, right now. Welcome to EmpowerFuse, unleashing inspiration together. It is my pleasure to be with you today. I always say, if you've tuned in, it's not by accident. You're here because there's something in this message that's meant just for you. Now, to be honest, we live in a world where it's so easy to get caught up in the grind. Deadlines, meetings, family responsibilities, hard seasons that weigh heavy. They weigh heavy on our heart. They weigh heavy on our shoulders. And sometimes when life feels like it's pressing down, the last thing on our mind is joy. But I want to shift that for you today. Because joy isn't fluff. Joy isn't frivolous. Joy is fuel. It's not about ignoring the reality of life. It's about choosing a posture that makes you stronger inside those realities. It's about saying, I'm not going to let the heaviness steal my light. I'll never forget walking into a meeting years ago. Tension was high. Everyone was bracing for conflict. And one of my colleagues cracked just the smallest of jokes. But we all laughed. And you could literally feel the shift of the atmosphere. The walls came down. People started listening. Solutions started flowing. In that moment, I realized Laughter isn't a distraction, it's a bridge. And here's another one. See, when my family has difficult seasons, we find ourselves sitting around a dining room table. Now, we may have tears in our eyes. We may all be stressed. But we're there as a family. Then someone will share a funny memory from years earlier. And before we know it, we have filled the room with laughter as we all think back and relish those memories. Did the problem disappear? No. But suddenly the weight wasn't crushing us anymore. That night reminded me that joy keeps giving us the strength to keep going. We all have those moments in our life where you just wonder how you're going to get through it. So today, I want to spend that time exploring joy as a leadership strategy, as a life option. You see, laughter and lightness can transform your personal life, your leadership, and the way you impact others. Think about the last time that laughter shifted your mood. Where were you? Who were you with? And how did it change that moment? See, we love to have different days at the office. Some mornings we will start with a song. Other mornings we might start with food or just sharing how the weekend went. The goal is to put a smile on everyone's face before the day really kicks off. Because we have busy lives. We have goals that we have to hit or meetings we have to attend. But if you start the day out with a smile, it can carry you throughout the day. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we're going to talk about the science of joy.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals.
Welcome back, everyone. It is great to be with you today. We're going to start this section off with joy being powerful on a scientific level. Think about it. How many times have you been stuck on a problem? Sitting there trying to just figure out how to get from point A to point Z. And then someone makes you laugh. They break the tension. And suddenly you see the situation differently. And you realize how you can get from point A to point Z in a matter of a moment. Where prior to that, laughter seemed like a daunting task. That's not just coincidence. That's biology working in your favor. See, joy is not just emotional, it's physiological. Laughter releases endorphins. These are your body's natural feel-good chemicals. That's what makes you feel light after exercise. So think about it this way. When you laugh, you literally create a mini workout for your brain and your body. Your cortisol decreases with laughter. And cortisol is the stress hormone that spikes when you're under pressure. It's our fight or flight response. Laughter actively lowers cortisol, which means you think more clearly. Your heart rate will slow down and your body will calm down. And laughter also provides immune system boost. Studies show people who laugh regularly have stronger immune systems. Norman Cousins, who wrote Anatomy of an Illness, famously used humor movies as medicine while recovering from a serious condition. And his health improved. Laughter also improves brain function. MRI studies show laughter activates multiple areas of the brain, including regions tied to creativity and problem solving. It's why you often find your best ideas after a light moment. So let's think about this for just a moment. When you were a child growing up, laughter probably came easy to you. See, it is actual that children laugh up to 300 to 400 times a day. As an adult, we laugh maybe 20 times a day on average. Somewhere along the line, when we grew up, we traded laughter for seriousness. But science says our bodies are designed to thrive on joy. So I want you to do this with me right now. I want you to take a deep breath in and let it out. Now smile. Even if you don't feel like it, smile. Notice what happens in your body. Science shows that even the act of smiling releases chemicals that shift your mood. Imagine what would happen if you built this into your daily rhythm. I remember a project several years ago, and stakes were so incredibly high. The team was stressed. We had deadlines that were looming over us and we had mistakes that were piling up. Those meetings were tough. But in the middle of one of the meetings, we paused and we shared stories. We talked about the weekend, talked about our children, our pets, our family. We took time away from the stress, from the project. And we talked about everything but the project. We laughed until our sides hurt. But when we came back to work, it felt so much lighter. We found solutions to get us back on track. Why? Because joy had unlocked creativity and perspective. I've also seen the opposite. I once worked with a leader who believed humor had no place in the office. Everything was serious, structured, stiff. Guess what? The team, they walked on eggshells. Innovation stalled. People dreaded coming to work. It wasn't the workload that drained them. It was the absence of joy. Another moment that stands out comes after a hospital leadership meeting that I had to attend, and we were faced with difficult staffing decisions. The energy in the room, again, was so tense. Those discussions are so hard. And everyone just sits there, afraid to make a sound. But one senior leader in the room made a joke. Not really a joke, but said something funny with regards to the fact that there wasn't a single one of us around that table who knew how to run the new coffee machine in the break room. And we all had to laugh because it was real. It was true. None of us knew how to run it. We all laughed, and the tension broke. The fear broke. And that short pause gave us the option to think clearly and to make different decisions more collaboratively and based on compassion. See, teams don't thrive on pressure alone. Pressure without joy crushes people. Teams thrive when their leader both carries strength and lightness. Victor Borge once said, "Laughter is the shortest distance between two people." And he's right. Joy builds connection in ways strategy never can. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how much laughter and joy are you bringing into your daily life right now? Think about it. Write down the number. And what's one small thing you can do to raise that number by just 1 point this week? Maybe it's a fun day Friday at the office. Maybe it's a Sunday Monday and you bring ice cream sundaes for everyone to share. Or maybe it's finding that song that you can dance to in the kitchen. We're going to talk more about all of these because we're going to start bringing this a little closer to home. See, joy isn't just for big moments. It's for everyday life. I call them joy anchors. Simple things around you that can ground you in lightness, especially when things feel heavy. For me, that's music. I love music, and multiple types, depending on what I'm doing. I might dance in the kitchen, or I might sing to something in my car, or I'm playing it before I go into a meeting at work. Joy, for me, is music. That's one of my anchors. Before stepping into that challenging meeting or before stepping up on a stage, I have songs that are already on a playlist that I listen to. It's always upbeat. It always just gets me going. It resets my spirit. Another joy anchor is gratitude. And so, in the middle of a very crazy day, how many of you have taken the time to actually write down something you're grateful for? I try to make that a habit, to write down at least one thing. I would like to write down 3. Every day, in the middle of the day, what are you grateful for? Write them down and let them bring you joy. Keep them visible. Have them at your fingertips to where you can look at them. You can glance at them throughout the day. It gives you a new perspective. So what about you? What are some of your joy anchors? Is it dancing with the kids? Or walking outside barefoot on the grass? Or maybe it's that first sip of coffee in the morning. All of these things may seem small, but they are so powerful. They are very powerful tools of resilience. So we've talked about music and the uplifting songs prior to big meetings, or having those playlists that shift your energy. We've talked about gratitude and writing down 3 things that you're grateful for in the middle of the day. But let's talk a little bit more. What are some other joy anchors? Well, how about humor? Little different than laughter. Humor, you may have Joyful Fridays or Fun Day Fridays. Funny quotes or memes that you send out in a text message or on Teams to your entire staff. Just something to brighten the day and make them smile. Movement. Dancing in the kitchen, walking outside, or even stretching between calls. Movement releases tension and signals the body to rest. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk through a few more of these joyful moments and the anchors that can bring joy to your day. We'll be right back.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back, everyone. We were talking about joy anchors, and we had talked about gratitude and music and laughter. And then we also reviewed humor and movement. And we were talking a little bit about nature. See, I also love a good cup of coffee in the morning. And I am one that loves to walk barefoot in nature. It grounds me and it brings the joy of just having the nature around me and the sounds around me. So that's not uncommon for me after a very busy or crazy week to just go sit outside barefoot and just in the silence sit and find my joy. Faith and spiritual practices are also joy anchors. Prayer, meditation, or scripture that can lift your soul, and connection. Call a friend. Go get some coffee with a friend or go out to dinner. Someone who can make you laugh, someone who can listen with intent and bring a smile to your face. Those friends will help you feel the lightness again. So grab a pen or open up a notes app on your phone. I want you to write down your joy anchors. Get at least 5. Aim for 5. And don't censor yourself. If funny cat videos make you laugh and makes your heart happy, then write it down. That would be one for my mom. The anchors aren't small. They're survival tools. So while you're writing those down, let me tell you another story. When I was leading a new team in my career, we decided that every Friday meeting was something called Joyful Friday. Everyone had to share something about their week, and it had to be something good about their week. Even if it was just my dog finally stopped chewing on my shoes. At first, people rolled their eyes when we said this. But after a few weeks, they started looking forward to it because it was a ritual that brought joy into the leadership process. There's also harder seasons in life where joy feels impossible. when we carry the weight of a loss and disappointment. So one day, when I was feeling down, I sat outside. I looked at the sunset and felt a wave of gratitude come over me. See, I realized joy wasn't gone. It was just waiting. It was just waiting to be noticed again. And here's the truth. Joy doesn't always find you. Sometimes you have to create it. And when you do, you give yourself and others permission to breathe. So here's the thing. Joy in the everyday doesn't just help you. It changes the people around you. Think about the cashier who lights up when you share a smile with them, or the coworker who suddenly relaxes because you asked about their weekend with genuine interest. These small moments are where joy becomes leadership in action. I once had a colleague tell me, Carolyn, I really don't remember what you said in that meeting, but I do remember how I felt when I left, because things were lighter. And that's what joy in the everyday does. It leaves fingerprints people carry with them, even when they can't put it into words. I've learned this too. Joy anchors build resilience like nothing else. When my grandfather and my brother passed away, there were days the grief was so heavy, I didn't think I could get through it. But I leaned into my anchors: gratitude, faith, a little humor, and connection with people who could make me laugh. Those small practices didn't erase the pain, but they reminded me I wasn't alone. And they gave me the strength to keep moving forward. So, what are 3 small joy anchors you could build into your everyday life? I want you to write them down now and think about how you might weave one of them into your day tomorrow. Let's talk about joy in leadership. Because leading with lightness is not the same as being careless. It's about balancing strength with humanity. And here's 3 ways joy becomes a leadership strategy. Humor, one of the joy anchors, because it helps build connections. A leader who can laugh with their people, they're approachable. It breaks down barriers and it communicates, I'm with you, not above you. Celebration creates momentum. When you mark even the small wins with joy, whether it's bringing in donuts for the team or sending a heartfelt note, you create energy that inspires bigger wins. Lightness doesn't mean weakness. Too often, we think strong leaders must be serious. Well, strength and joy are not opposites. In fact, joy requires strength because it means you refuse to let circumstances dictate your spirit. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then when we come back, we're going to finish up on joy.
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Welcome back, everyone, to EmpowerFuse. We're talking through leading with lightness and our joy anchors. So I want to expand a little bit on what I was just talking about. So when we start the day with gratitude or celebration, we put a smile on everyone's face. So you can start out with just a simple question by asking, what's one win from this week? One win. Who has them? Or start out with a story. Because when you shift the energy of a stressed out team by focusing on gratitude before diving into tough work, you'll see the atmosphere shift. They can think clearer. They're more energized. They're more excited to get through the day. So we have to normalize humor in the workplace. Share a lighthearted story before tackling hard topics. Humor will lower defenses. And that story may just be what happened over the weekend or how a ball game turned out. Or it might be an event that your children were in. Or ask someone else to share that story. And sometimes it's a joke. You can share a joke, or somebody else might tell one that really kind of changes the meeting. It changes the tenseness of a meeting. And it gives everyone just that moment to breathe and the moment to take a sigh of relief. And then when we celebrate our small wins, then we're acknowledging joy with each and every individual. Leaders sometimes wait for the big victory, but celebrating little milestones builds momentum and joy. My team loves when we bring donuts or surprise them with bagels. We recently just did shirts and mugs. Little things to let them know they're appreciative. Because when they're appreciated, then they feel like they belong there. Even putting a banner up that has word art on it gives them something to look at and to think about every single day. So those little thank you notes and shout outs and team meetings, make them loud, make them strong, because it changes the momentum, especially after a tough week. And demonstrate that it's okay to pause, to laugh, or reset. You set the tone each day. How do you want it to look? Mentoring young leaders is such an important piece. But you have to do it with a balance of seriousness and strength. And show that lightness in leadership brings longevity. It gives them a different view. And they know that they show up every day as their best self because of the tone that you have set in the office and the permissions that you have been given them. See, when leaders show that they don't take themselves too seriously, others feel safe to contribute. Now, do we have moments that we need to be serious? Absolutely. Do we have goals and guidelines and deadlines and everything else that we need to manage and meet? Absolutely. But we have to give the team the time to breathe. Laugh at our own mistakes and give permission for others to fail forward without shame. Joy reminds people you're human, not just a title. The physician who softened his demeanor with humor, changing his patient relationships. Think about your leadership right now. When people leave your presence, whether it's your team, your family, or your circle of influence, do they feel heavier or lighter? What if the greatest gift you give them is not just direction, but joy? I think back to mentoring someone who was stepping into their first leadership role. She was carrying the weight of proving herself. And I told her, people will follow you and follow your example more than your words. If you carry stress like it's the only way to lead, they'll mirror that. But if you carry lightness, it can show you and show them how to take work seriously, but not yourself too seriously. They'll trust you, and they'll last longer in the journey. I once worked with a physician who was absolutely brilliant, but also known for being very intense. His patients respected him, but they were also intimidated by him. Over time, he began to intentionally soften his approach, telling a light-hearted story, cracking a gentle joke, and his patients began to relax. They started to trust him more, and that trust deepened over time. The results weren't just better relationships, they were better outcomes for the patients. Joy has a way of bringing light and gratitude and growth. And again, better outcomes. Because you've lessened the load. And here's something else. Joy in leadership also creates psychological safety. When people feel they can laugh, they feel they can risk, they can share new ideas and without fear or judgment. They can fail forward without shame. And that's where innovation thrives. I remember a moment when I was leading through a merger. Everyone was anxious. If you've ever been through a merger and acquisition, the tenseness between individuals and processes and everything that needs coming together. It's very overwhelming. And people were afraid of losing jobs. They were afraid of change. And I could have fed in to that anxiety. But instead, I chose to infuse moments of humor and lightness into the team huddles. I didn't downplay the seriousness of what they were going to. But I made sure we remembered we were still people with stories and humor and humanity. It didn't erase the challenge, but it made the challenge survivable. Leadership sets the emotional temperature. If we're heavy all the time, our people carry that heaviness. But if we lead with joy, we set them free. And when people feel free, they perform at their best, not just for the organization, but for themselves and their own growth. And on a more personal note, lightness has been the reason I have been able to last 3 decades in leadership. Burnout is real. Stress is real. But choosing to carry joy has kept me from being crushed by the weight of responsibility. It has given me longevity and perspective. So if you're a leader, whether of a team, a family, or even your own life, what kind of emotional temperature are you setting right now? Is it heavy? Is it light? How could you intentionally infuse more lightness this week? We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, I have an EmpowerFuse challenge for you.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
All right. You know I love to give you something practical to take away. So here's your EmpowerFuse challenge for the week. I want you to make a joy list. Write down 5 simple things that spark joy in your life. Keep it somewhere visible. Schedule joy. Don't wait for it. Plan it. Pick one item from your joy list and make sure you do it this week. And share joy. Joy multiplies when it's shared. So send a funny text, surprise someone with a small gift, and share a story that makes someone laugh. There was a time where I almost canceled dinner with friends because I wasn't sure that I was really up for it, but I pushed myself to go. And we ended up laughing until midnight. And that laughter carried me through for the entire week. See, joy doesn't just lift you in a moment. It sustains you. And joy is contagious. This is why it matters. A smile from you can ripple into someone else's lives in ways that you'll never fully know. It could be the very thing that lifts them from despair into hope. It's the kind of leadership impact you want to leave behind. So who is the one person you could intentionally share joy with this week? Picture their face right now and commit to making that happen. And as we close today, I want to pause and take this in. Joy is not a luxury. It's not something you squeeze in when everything else is done. Joy is essential. It strengthens your leadership, fuels your resilience, and connects you to the people you're called to impact. So I want you to repeat this affirmation with me. I choose joy. I carry light, and I lead with laughter. Say it again until it settles into your spirit. Thank you for spending this hour with me on EmpowerFuse. This week doesn't just wait for joy to happen, create it. Don't just find joy for yourself, lead with it. Because the world doesn't just need strong leaders, it needs joyful ones. And the challenges will always be there. The deadlines, the pressure, the storms of life. But the presence of joy doesn't deny those things. It transforms how you walk through them. Joy doesn't make you weak. Joy makes you unshakable. And here's the truth. When you choose joy, you give your permission to others to choose it as well. Your light becomes their reminder, and hope is still alive. That laughter is still possible, and even in the heaviest seasons, there is still beauty worth noticing. So practice joy on purpose. Find your anchors. Share your laughter. Celebrate your wins. And watch how the atmosphere shifts around you. Until next week, stay blessed, have fun with your friends, family, loved ones, and bring a smile to everyone's face. God bless you. I will see you next Saturday. Bye-bye.
This has been EmpowerFuse with your host, Dr. Carolyn M. Rubin. Join us each week as Carolyn brings individuals together to share ideas, to collectively support each other, and to spark inspiration. Saturdays, 11 a.m. Eastern.